Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 24th episode and potentially the final episode of the Chess This Week. Now, at some point, this will be the case, but perhaps not yet. Now, moving right on, let's talk about the Pro Chess League, where two teams have already secured their spot in the quarterfinals, and the first team is none other than our own Indian Yogis, who was the first team to qualify for the quarterfinals with a convincing 9.5-6-0 win over the Levito Chess Wizards. A big congratulations to Indian Yogis and a shout out to Grandmaster RB Ramesh. Several of his students playing in the Indian Yogis team, including Pragnananda, Vaishali, Pranesh, and Vaishali in particular, has been spectacular. And having these homegrown talents, Ramesh's own students, is a very, very big advantage in the Pro Chess League. And the second team to qualify, Gotham Knights, have also been fabulous. They entered the playoffs, the quarterfinals, by an amazing margin of 9-3 against the previously undefeated Shanghai Tigers, which featured the likes of Women's World Champion Zhu Wenger. And our own team, MGD1, we have won our last two matchups. So we are in the 8th spot right now. We are one win away from securing our spot in the quarterfinals, and we face Norway Gnomes. In the second half of the standings, we feature some big names, including the defending champions, St. Louis Archbishops, the Blitz featuring the likes of Varshay Lagrav and Grischuk, and two teams which are at the bottom are out of the Pro Chess League 2023 and potentially relegated, although we are not sure of what happens there. And it's a bit of a surprise that Charlotte Cobras, featuring the likes of Daniel Naroditsky, lost so early, but this has been one tough tournament so far. And moving on from there, first of all, we acknowledge a couple of mistakes from the previous episode. I called the 80th Grandmaster of India the latest Grandmaster at that time, but it turns out that at the time of uploading that video, it was already Sayantan Das, the 81st Grandmaster, who was the latest Grandmaster from India. Now, at this pace, I just hope that I don't miss the 82nd Grandmaster of India. And another mistake was that I mentioned that Nihal Sarin won the Djerba Masters. It turns out that he led the qualification group, but that was just a qualification to the semi-finals. And in the semi-finals, Nihal quite unexpectedly lost against the French GM, Maxime Lagarde, who lost in the finals against another French Grandmaster, Jules Maussade. And Jules wins this tournament. Nihal managed to get the third place with a 2.5-1.5 win over Aryan Tari. A slightly disappointing result for Nihal, I would say, considering how amazing he is in the shorter formats especially. But it did seem like he had quite a good time in Djerba in general. And here are some pictures which show that. And while Nihal had a good time in Djerba, Arvind Chidambaram had an even better time in Jammu. He had won the National Rapid Championship, although he shared that first place with a few others, including Nubair Shah Sheikh and a couple of other players. But in the Blitz Championship, there was absolutely no doubt. Arvind Chidambaram won with a Fisher score of 11 out of 11, leaving the rest of the field quite far away. It was not even a contest between Arvind and the rest. It was like Arvind playing for the first place and everyone else competing for the second place. This is Arvind's third win in the last 4 years in the national championship. Phenomenal performance by Arvind and big congratulations to him. And moving on, we have a couple of events from the past week which marks the end of an era. First of all, Russia is one of these transcontinental countries. Parts of it exist both in Asia as well as Europe. It's not the only country. There's Turkey, for instance, and Azerbaijan, Armenia also have parts of their countries both in Asia and Europe. But like Azerbaijan and Armenia, as far as chess is concerned, Russia has always been a part of Europe until this year. And Russia kind of broke up with Europe and joined Asia. Not a happy breakup. Europe called it a shame for chess. But on the other hand, Asia welcomed Russia with very open and welcoming arms vote of 29-1 by the Asian Chess Federations to welcome Russia in its fold. This also throws a bit of mess and chaos in terms of qualification for the World Cup cycles and things like that, as a certain number of spots are reserved for continents like Asia and Europe, and this is not exactly clear how it will reflect for the World Cup qualification. What are your thoughts on this move? Do leave it in the comments below. And another big event, Magnus Carlsen might have potentially played his last game as the official world champion. He played in the Norwegian league for his club Spill. He played a total of 3 games and won 2 of it. A draw against David Howell will probably be his last game before World Championship match between Nepo and Dinglegen. But never say never. Magnus can win the World Championship back at any point in the future. Offerspill also won their first ever Norwegian league, and they recruited heavily. They didn't just have Magnus, but they also had the likes of Brugg, who didn't have the best of events. He had a couple of draws and managed to win the last game. So he scored 2 out of 3 there, but not what you would normally expect from Brugg in general. And talking about the qualification cycles, Asia, Europe and stuff like that, the European Individual Championship is ongoing right now. Pretty early days. This is a pretty strong tournament. The Armenian Grandmaster, Armenia still being part of Europe in chess, is the first seed of this tournament, Gabriel Sargsyan. Just 2 rounds are over, so a long way to go. And this is the European Individual Championship Open, which also features a lot of women participating in this event. And the European Women Individual Championship will take place later this month. That's this episode of the Chess This Week. If you like this episode, then do hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and see you all pretty soon.